Has there ever been anyone here who has never made a mistake? Never felt hurt? Never carried anger? Of course not, my dear. Every one of us has walked through pain. Every one of us has said words we regret, done things we wish we hadn't, held grudges longer than we meant to. And that's all right. It's part of being human. It's part of learning. But let's look deeper together. Where does all this pain begin? Where does fear, anger, and blame first take root? So often, it begins in childhood. When we are small, we are so open, so trusting, so ready to love. But if we grow up in a home where we don't always feel safe, or we don't always feel loved, or we don't always feel seen, we begin to protect ourselves. And because children don't know how to explain sadness, they often turn it into something louder, something stronger, anger. Have you noticed this? Underneath every angry child is usually a hurt child, and underneath every angry adult is still that same hurt child, longing to be comforted, longing to be understood. Let me ask you gently, what if your anger is just sadness that was never allowed to cry? Isn't that a tender thought? What if those outbursts, those moments of defensiveness, those walls you've built, were never proof of you being unlovable, but proof of how deeply you needed love? Anger, my dear, is not your enemy. Anger is a messenger. It says, I was hurt, I didn't feel safe, I wasn't seen. Blame is not who you are. It is simply the shield you picked up when you didn't know what else to do. And defensiveness? That is just the armor of a wounded child who believes the world might hurt them again. Now here's the gentle truth. You don't have to keep carrying that pain forever. You don't have to keep living inside the walls you built as a child. You are not here to carry pain forever. You are here to transform it into peace. And forgiveness, and of yourself, of others, of the world, is the path to that peace. But before we can forgive, we must understand. We must see the wounded child behind the anger. Can you take a moment now to picture yourself at 5 years old, see their little face, feel their tender heart, and then whisper softly, I see you, I love you, you are safe with me now. Doesn't that feel like a balm on old wounds? That is where healing begins. So many of us were taught to suppress our feelings. Don't cry, don't be weak, don't be angry. But unexpressed sadness doesn't disappear. It turns inward as shame or outward as rage. And then we wonder why we feel so heavy, why relationships feel so hard, why forgiveness feels impossible. But the truth is, nothing is wrong with you. Nothing has ever been wrong with you. You were simply carrying feelings that were never given a chance to be expressed. Now let's affirm something new together. Place your hand on your heart and say softly, it is safe for me to feel. It is safe for me to heal. Again, it is safe for me to feel. It is safe for me to heal. One more time with love. It is safe for me to feel. It is safe for me to heal. Yes, yes, yes. When we allow our sadness to be seen, when we comfort the child inside, anger begins to soften. Blame begins to fade. Defensiveness begins to melt. Because underneath the armor, underneath the noise, there is only a tender heart that has always wanted one thing, love. And my dear, that love is available now. That safety is available now. That peace is available now. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to prove yourself worthy of it. You only need to remember, you are not broken. You are not bad. You are not beyond forgiveness. You are human. And being human means sometimes you hurt, sometimes you hide, sometimes you lash out. But it also means you can learn, you can grow, you can heal. So let us take this gentle truth with us. Anger is not the enemy. Fear is not the enemy. They are simply parts of you longing to be seen, longing to be loved. And when you offer yourself that love, you no longer need to cling to the old shields. You can lay them down. You can breathe freely. You can begin the path of forgiveness. And isn't that wonderful? That even after all you've carried, all you've endured, all the times you've thought you were too much or not enough, you can still choose peace. You can still choose love. You can still choose to remember the truth. Underneath it all, you are already worthy. You are already enough. You are already loved. My dear, have you noticed how pain has a way of echoing through families, through relationships, even through entire generations? A parent feels unloved as a child, and without even realizing it, they may speak harshly to their own children. A partner carries old wounds from the past, and those wounds spill over into the new relationship. A society itself can hold centuries of anger, blame, and fear, and hand it down like an inheritance. This is what we mean when we say, hurt people hurt people. But let us be clear, this is not an excuse. This is not a permission slip to keep hurting each other. This is a mirror. It shows us where the wound is, and it shows us how it has traveled. When we see that clearly, we have the power to make a new choice. So let me ask you gently, what if you could be the one who breaks the cycle? What if your choice to forgive could be the very moment when generations of pain begin to dissolve? Isn't that a beautiful thought? Forgiveness, my dear, is exactly that. Forgiveness is choosing to stop handing down emotional poison. If you imagine anger as a bitter cup, most of us were handed that cup long ago. We didn't ask for it. It was given to us. And without thinking, we took a sip, then we passed it along. But today, right here, right now, you can decide. The cup stops with me. I will not pass it on. Isn't that powerful? Let's take this into our bodies. Place your hand on your heart and say softly, I choose to break the cycle. Again, stronger. I choose to break the cycle. And one more time, with conviction, I choose to break the cycle. Oh yes, yes, yes. With each word, you are planting a new seed of peace. Now, I want you to picture the faces of those who came before you. Maybe your parents, maybe their parents, maybe people you've never even met but whose pain still lingers in your family line. Can you see how they too were hurt? Can you see how they too were once little children who wanted love but didn't always receive it? This does not excuse the harm they caused, but it helps us understand it. And understanding opens the door to compassion. Forgiving others does not mean saying what you did was okay. It means saying, I will not carry this anger any longer. I will not let your wound become my wound. I will not let your story define my story. Forgiveness is not about condoning. It is about freeing. It is not about erasing the past. It is about releasing its grip on your heart. And so, when you forgive, you are not only healing yourself, you are healing forward. You are healing the children who will never inherit that anger. You are healing your relationships, your community, your world. Forgiveness says, the pain stops with me. So, my dear, let's anchor this truth together. Say with me, I release the need to carry old pain. Again, I release the need to carry old pain. One last time, I release the need to carry old pain. Doesn't that feel lighter already? Remember always, hurt people, but healed people heal people. And you, my dear, are becoming one of the healers. Let's sit together for a moment, my dear, and breathe in this truth. Forgiveness is not approval. How many times have you resisted forgiving because you thought it meant you had to say, it's okay? What you did was fine. I deserved that. Oh no, absolutely not. Forgiveness has nothing to do with pretending that harm didn't happen. Forgiveness does not erase the wrong. It does not excuse the behavior. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you. Think about it. When you carry resentment, who suffers most? It is not the person who hurt you. They may be far away. They may not even remember. They may not care. But you, my dear, you are the one holding the burning coal in your hand. You clench it tightly, thinking that by holding it, you are punishing them. But the truth is, you are the one who gets burned. Isn't that a powerful image? Forgiveness means you finally open your hand and drop the coal. Forgiveness means you say, I refuse to carry this pain one moment longer. Let's take it further. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person suffers. Oh, how many of us have sipped that poison? We replay the memory, rehearse the words, relive the wound. We imagine that our anger is power. But all it does is sicken our soul, weaken our body, and cloud our mind. Anger eats away at peace. Resentment robs us of joy. And bitterness shuts the door to love. So why keep drinking, my dear? Why keep swallowing something that was never nourishing you? Forgiveness is setting down the cup and saying, no more. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, but Louise, they don't deserve my forgiveness. And I understand. There are wounds so deep, betrayals so sharp, that forgiveness feels impossible. But hear me clearly. You do not forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. You forgive because your heart deserves to breathe again. You forgive because your future deserves to be free of the chains of the past. Isn't that liberating? So let me ask you gently, what is the resentment you are still holding? Who are you still carrying in your heart like a heavy stone? And what might happen if you laid that stone down, even just for today? Wouldn't your hands feel lighter? Wouldn't your heart feel freer? Wouldn't your spirit feel more open to love? Let's practice together. Place your hand over your heart and say softly, I forgive not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Again, stronger. I forgive not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. And one more time with love. I forgive not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Yes, yes, yes. Feel how your body begins to release with those words. You see, forgiveness is release. It is the act of saying, I no longer consent to suffering. I no longer agree to carry this weight. I choose freedom. I choose peace. I choose love. Isn't that beautiful? Forgiveness doesn't chain you to the past. It unlocks the door. Forgiveness doesn't weaken you. It empowers you. Forgiveness doesn't make you a victim. It makes you free. Think of a garden. Imagine you've been planting seeds of resentment year after year. Weeds grow tall, choking the flowers, stealing the sunlight. And you wonder why nothing blossoms. Forgiveness is the moment you begin pulling the weeds. Forgiveness clears the soil so that new seeds, seeds of joy, of trust, of abundance, can grow. Without forgiveness, the weeds take over. With forgiveness, the garden blooms again. Now, forgiveness is not always a single moment. Sometimes it is a process. Sometimes you forgive a little today, and a little more tomorrow, and a little more after that. And that is okay. Healing does not need to be rushed. Healing is gentle. Healing is kind. You don't have to get it all right at once. You only need to be willing, and willingness is enough. Let me remind you of something I have said so many times. It's just a thought, and a thought can be changed. The thought, I cannot forgive, is just that, a thought. It is not the truth. The truth is, you are capable of more love than you know. The truth is, you are capable of setting yourself free. So, my dear, let's anchor this truth in affirmations. Say with me, I am willing to release resentment. Again, I am willing to release resentment. And once more, I am willing to release resentment. Doesn't that feel softer already? And now say, forgiveness is not approval. Forgiveness is release. Again, forgiveness is not approval. Forgiveness is release. And once more, stronger, forgiveness is not approval. Forgiveness is release. Yes, yes, yes. Remember, my dear, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It is choosing peace over poison. It is choosing freedom over chains. It is choosing love over fear. And every time you choose forgiveness, you are choosing life. So today, I invite you to drop the coal, pour out the poison, pull the weeds, and step into the light of your own freedom, because you deserve peace. You deserve joy. You deserve love. And forgiveness is the doorway. My dear, if we have spoken of forgiving others as an act of freedom, then let us now walk into perhaps the most tender, the most difficult, and yet the most important part of all, forgiving yourself. Isn't it interesting? Many of us can find compassion for others more easily than we can for ourselves. We may understand that hurt people, that pain is passed down, that others acted from wounds. But when it comes to our own mistakes, we are often merciless. We hold ourselves to impossible standards. We replay our failures like a cruel movie in our mind, and we say quietly, again and again, I am bad. Oh, sweetheart, I want you to listen with your heart as I say this. You are not bad. You may have made mistakes. You may have spoken words you regret. You may have hurt others or yourself, but those actions do not define you. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your mistakes. You are a soul learning, growing, unfolding. Isn't that a beautiful truth? But I know how sticky shame can feel. Shame whispers, you are unworthy. You are broken. You are unlovable. And the more you believe it, the more you sink. Shame keeps us stuck, locked in a small, dark room with no windows. But sorrow, the gentle acknowledgement that you could have acted differently, opens the door to healing. Sorrow is tender. Sorrow says, I wish I had done better, but I know I can learn. Shame paralyzes. Sorrow transforms. So let us distinguish clearly between guilt and shame, because here lies the doorway to self-forgiveness. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. Do you feel the difference? One is about an action. The other is about your entire identity. One can be resolved with apology, with change, with compassion. The other tries to convince you that you are unworthy at the core. My dear, forgiveness begins when you separate what happened from who you are. You are not your actions. You are not your worst day. You are not your darkest moment. You are always more. You are always love. You are always enough. Now, sometimes guilt itself is a distortion. What I call false guilt, toilogia. Have you ever carried guilt for something that was never truly your responsibility? Perhaps as a child, you felt it was your fault your parents argued. Perhaps you believed it was your fault someone left you. Perhaps you took on responsibility for someone else's choices, someone else's pain. That guilt was never yours to carry. Can you see how heavy that burden has been? And can you allow yourself, even now, to put it down? Other times, guilt can be what I call holy sorrow. noi buon tinkin. This is not the shame that condemns. It is the soft ache of knowing you could have chosen differently. Maybe you did hurt someone. Maybe you did abandon yourself. And now you feel that ache. That ache, my dear, is not punishment. It is guidance. It says, learn from this. Make peace with this. Grow from this. Holy sorrow does not chain you to the past. It moves you toward love. So let me ask you tenderly, what guilt are you carrying that was never yours? What shame are you holding that has chained you? And what sorrow could be transformed into wisdom if you allowed it? Isn't it time to set yourself free? Let's practice together. Place your hand over your heart, close your eyes if you wish, and whisper, I am willing to release guilt. I am ready to return to love. Again, I am willing to release guilt. I am ready to return to love. One more time, let it sink in. I am willing to release guilt. I am ready to return to love. Do you feel how those words open a door inside? That is the beginning of forgiveness. Now imagine your younger self again, the child who tried their best, the teenager who didn't know any better, the adult who made choices from pain or fear. Look at them in your mind's eye. See how hard they were trying. See how much they wanted to be loved. And then tell them softly, I forgive you. I know you did the best you could with what you knew then. I love you. Isn't that what your heart has been longing to hear? Forgiving yourself is not about erasing the past. It is about embracing the truth that you are more than your past. It is about honoring the lessons, releasing the pain, and carrying forward the love. When you forgive yourself, you stop punishing the innocent child inside you. You stop holding yourself hostage to yesterday. You allow yourself to live again. And here is the miracle. When you forgive yourself, you naturally find it easier to forgive others, because the harshness you've used against yourself softens. The compassion you extend to yourself overflows. The peace you create within becomes the peace you share without. Isn't that wonderful? So let's anchor this with affirmations. Say with me, I am not my mistakes. I am not my past. I am love. Again, I am not my mistakes. I am not my past. I am love. And once more, with conviction, I am not my mistakes. I am not my past. I am love. Now say, I forgive myself for the times I abandoned me. Again, I forgive myself for the times I abandoned me. And once more, I forgive myself for the times I abandoned me. Oh yes, yes, yes. Feel how your heart opens with those words. My dear, the most tender act you can ever do is to forgive yourself, to lay down the whip of self-criticism, to stop rehearsing the old stories, to choose instead a new story. I am worthy, I am lovable, I am free. And every time you repeat this, every time you practice this, every time you return to love, you break the cycle of shame. You return to the truth. My dear, let me begin this part with something personal. There was a time in my own life when forgiveness felt impossible. I carried hurts, regrets, and anger so tightly inside me that I thought they were part of who I was. I thought if I let go of them, I would lose myself. But what I discovered was the opposite. When I began to practice forgiveness, even in the smallest ways, I didn't lose myself. I found myself. I found the part of me that had been waiting all along for peace, for softness, for love. And this is why I want to remind you, forgiveness is not one moment. It is a journey. It is a path, a practice, a prayer. Sometimes people ask me, Louise, what if I forgave yesterday but the pain comes back today? And I smile and say, then you forgive again today. Because forgiveness is not about one grand act that clears everything forever. Forgiveness is about choosing, daily, to unclench your fist, to drop the coal of resentment, to breathe. It's about saying, over and over, I am willing to return to love. Isn't that gentle? Isn't that possible? Start small, my dear. You don't have to face the biggest wound first. Begin with something simple. Perhaps write a letter. Write to yourself, to the part of you that feels stuck in guilt or shame. Or write to someone who hurt you. You don't have to send it. This letter is not for them. It's for you. Let your pen hold your anger, your sorrow, your longing, and then let it end with forgiveness. You might write, I release you. I forgive you. I set myself free. Or if you're writing to yourself, you might say, I forgive you for not knowing better. I love you for surviving. I am proud of you for being here today. These words written with intention begin to move the energy. Another small but powerful practice is mirror work. You know how much I love the mirror. Stand in front of it. Look into your own eyes. At first you might feel resistance. Old voices might rise up, but stay with it. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, I forgive you. I love you. You did the best you could. Again, I forgive you. I love you. You did the best you could. One more time, let it go deeper. I forgive you. I love you. You did the best you could. Tears may come. That is healing. Smiles may come. That is healing. Silence may come. That too is healing. And then, perhaps the most tender practice of all, speak to your inner child. Close your eyes and picture yourself at 5 years old. See their little hands, their open eyes, their tender heart. That child still lives in you. That child still longs for safety, for comfort, for love. Place your hand gently over your heart and whisper, you are safe now. I've got you. I will never abandon you again. Isn't that powerful? Isn't that healing? Your inner child doesn't need perfection. They need presence. They need you. Let's pause for a moment right now and breathe. Inhale gently. Exhale slowly. Say softly, I choose forgiveness. I choose peace. I choose love. Again with more certainty, I choose forgiveness. I choose peace. I choose love. And once more with a smile, I choose forgiveness. I choose peace. I choose love. Now let me offer you a metaphor to carry with you. Healing is not linear. It does not move in a straight line from hurt to joy. It comes in phases like the moon. Sometimes you will feel full, glowing, radiant with forgiveness. Other times you may feel dark, hidden, unsure. Both are natural. Both are part of the cycle. And just as the moon always returns to fullness, so too will you. Forgiveness may wane, but it will wax again. Isn't that comforting? To know that even in your dark nights, light is returning? Some days, forgiveness will feel easy. Other days, it will feel like climbing a mountain. And both are part of the path. What matters is not perfection, but persistence. What matters is not speed, but sincerity. Every time you choose even a little forgiveness, you move closer to peace. A little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. That is how transformation happens. So let me ask you softly, where can you practice forgiveness today? What small step can you take? A letter? A moment in the mirror? A word of comfort to your inner child? Choose one and begin. You don't need to do it all at once. You only need to begin. Let's anchor this journey with affirmation. Say with me, I forgive a little more each day. Again, I forgive a little more each day. And once more, I forgive a little more each day. Now say, I am safe to heal at my own pace. Again, I am safe to heal at my own pace. And one more time, I am safe to heal at my own pace. Yes, 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 doesn't that feel gentle? Doesn't that feel loving? Remember always, my dear, forgiveness is not one moment. It is a daily decision, a practice, a prayer. It is a path you walk with patience, with tenderness, with love. Some days will be harder. Some days will be lighter. But every day, you have the power to choose again. And every time you choose forgiveness, you choose life. My dear, as we come to this final moment together, I want you to pause and feel the quiet truth of forgiveness settling into your heart. Forgiveness change the past. It changes you. The events remain. The words spoken cannot be unsaid. But the weight, the heaviness, the chains that once bound you, those can be released. And when you release them, something beautiful happens. You walk lighter, you breathe deeper, you love easier. Forgiveness is the final gift you give yourself. It is the gift of peace after years of inner storms. It is the gift of lightness after carrying burdens too heavy for too long. It is the gift of freedom. Freedom to live, to love, to laugh again without looking over your shoulder. Can you feel how precious that is? Can you see how deserving you are of that freedom? When you forgive, you do not say, "What happened was right." You say, "I will not let pain rule me anymore." You do not erase the past. You transform your relationship with it. You are no longer defined by wounds, but by wisdom. You are no longer led by anger, but by grace. You step forward, not as a victim of life, but as a partner with life. And isn't that the most beautiful power of all? So let me leave you with these truths to carry in your soul. You are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are free. Say it softly with me. I am not my mistakes. I am not my past. I am free. Again, stronger. I am not my mistakes. I am not my past. I am free. And once more, as a promise to yourself, I am not my mistakes. I am not my past. I am free. Yes, 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 my dear. That is your truth now. That is your new beginning. Step into it with courage, with gentleness, with love. And always remember, deep in your being, life loves you, and so do I.